Kirk Cousins, Bijan Robinson, and the Atlanta Falcons take on Sam Darnold, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and the Seattle Seahawks in an NFC showdown in Week 14. This is a big one because with the Los Angeles Rams loss to the Carolina Panthers last week, the door is back fully wide open for Seattle to take the NFC West and potentially to control their destiny to get the number one seed in the entire conference going into the playoffs. This Seattle team is one of the best in football. No doubt that they are one of the best 5 teams in the NFL, led by their terrific defense. A defense that has been the best secondary, in my opinion, in the entire NFL. They get after the quarterback as well as anybody. 40 sacks on the season. They've got 13 picks. That's right behind the Chicago Bears. The only question mark with Seattle on their entire team is their quarterback. The most important position in sports is quarterback, and Sam Darnold, he's no doubt the biggest question mark. If they get to the postseason or they play big games or they've got a game against the Atlanta Falcons that they're supposed to win on the road, how does Sam Darnold play in the big games? Well, throughout this season, he's played great. 29 points a game. That's second in the NFL. They're a top 10 offense. No doubt about that. In the backfield, Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, one of the better, if not the best duo in the division, certainly right there in conversations, one of the best duos back in the league. And at wide receiver, they've got the best wide receiver in the NFL in Jaxon Smith-Njigba, fighting hard for yards every time he catches the ball. As smooth a route runner as you'll find. He's not bigger, stronger, faster than any receiver in the league, but his routes are just as good. He gets open, and his hands sure are sure-handed. Now, for Atlanta to go into this offense, because I do think it is fascinating more so their offense versus that Seattle defense. We know that Seattle is going to move the ball. Their point total, you could probably write in 26, 27 points going against this Atlanta defense, which unbelievably has mustered 41 sacks on the season. That's actually more than Seattle. That's third in the NFL. So bringing in James Pierce Jr., Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker from Georgia, these guys have been terrific, and it actually looks like that they did a decent job enough in the draft transforming the defensive line outlook for the next 5 years plus. But this Atlanta offense versus the Seattle defense, that's where the game comes down to. So we just said we're probably going to see 26, 27 points from Seattle, just marking that number. But Atlanta's offense, how many points do they score? So let's just say Seattle scores 27. I think Seahawks fans would be very confident that they could limit this Atlanta Falcon offense to less than that mark. Kirk Cousins doesn't offer a ton in the sense of mobility, but what he does offer is consistency, and it is accuracy and a very high aptitude to operate an offense well, especially with these weapons. He didn't have that much of a drop-off in weapons to what he had in Minnesota with Jefferson, with Aaron Jones, with TJ Hawkinson, Addison. That was a good unit, but with Bijan Robinson in the backfield, his job is debatably just as easy because he can hand the football off to Robinson like he did against the New York Jets, who gets 142 yards. The biggest disappointment was Atlanta got the football back, tie game, 24-24, with what was it? A minute 35, and they went 3 and out. They gave the ball right back to the Jets, and what did the Jets do? Amazingly put themselves in position. They almost screwed up with a pre-snap penalty, but then Folk kicks a 55-yard game winner, and it hurts the Jets draft stock. They move from the number 4 spot in the draft to number 6 or 7 for where they're standing right now. Only the Jets could maybe move themselves out of the race to get the best quarterback available probably in this draft than Fernando Mendoza. But that's a story for the offseason. Atlanta's got a decent enough offense with Cousins at the helm, and with these weapons, it presents a challenge. This is as good of a weapon base of guys that Seattle have played. Certainly the Los Angeles Rams are one of the better units, but Atlanta and what they have to store would be far more dangerous if they had Drake London on the field. Now, it's probably looking like there is no Drake London against the Seattle Seahawks. Unfortunately for Drake, if he were on the field, I would feel really good about their chances to win this game. This is what's continuing to look like he might possibly return. It's not something I can say here in a preview prediction video that it's a sure thing. So without his status, frankly, that's fully up in the air. And I give the edge to Seattle because if he is playing, he's not 100%. And there's the possibility he's not even playing in this game. And Seattle's defense were the third in points per game, 17 points a game, or 18 right there in what they've allowed. And then they're sixth in yards a game that they've allowed on the season. And this is against an Atlanta Falcon offense that even with what they were doing earlier in the year and the good start, beating Buffalo at home, they are the 26th team in the league in scoring 20 points a game, and the yards are right in the middle. They only have 335 yards a game. That's 17th in the league. So the statistics don't back up thinking that the Atlanta Falcons can keep up pace to score enough points with Seattle. Seattle can score. A bad game for this team would probably be them scoring 24 points against the Atlanta Falcon defense. And for the Seahawks, this could be a game where they only allow 16, 17 points, right in line with what they've given up throughout the season. So that leads me to believe a score 31-16, 27-16, something in those lines makes it more interesting, certainly if Drake London is available. But there's one key factor here. This is the most dynamic back that the Seattle Seahawks will have faced this season. Bijan Robinson is the type of guy that can change a game. My largest argument against that would be Bijan Robinson just went for 142 yards, a touchdown last week, explosive runs, like 26 yards, and they still lose to the Jets. So even if Bijan Robinson rushes for 150 on 25 carries and a touchdown, that's still meaning that they're going to have to punch the ball in the red zone against Leonard Williams. Right? This is not going to be the type of game where you imagine Atlanta has success on the interior of this Seattle Seahawks defensive line. There's no team I would almost rather pick than a guy that's like Byron Murphy in the middle, the former Texas Longhorn, right there in the middle. And Demarcus Lawrence for Seattle with Williams. This is one of the better front fours in the league. Why I like them more than Atlanta's no discredit to Atlanta, what they do as pass rushers, but Williams, Lawrence, Murphy, they're also very good in run defense, even arguably just as good, if not better, in what they can do in run defense. And then Ernest Jones, Thomas, Bryant, Emmanwori, who's a freaking stud, Devon Witherspoon, who's turning into one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. This is a very tough matchup for Atlanta, even if it's at home. I think Kirk Cousins might get sacked 5-6 times in this game. It doesn't bode well for the Falcons putting up a loss against the New York Jets, and then you're playing one of the better teams in the NFL. And I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. I don't think it's all that close. Even if they have Drake London on the field, he's going to have to deal with Woolen. He's going to have to deal with Witherspoon, or Emmanwori out of the slot. There's going to be problems for him in going over the middle of the field. Do you have confidence in Pitts? Potentially, he's had one of the better seasons, and you're excited about that. Or Darnell Mooney, he's a good third option. Overall, though, I would really be shocked to hear people coming out saying where they're pointing to a path of victory for Atlanta. So I will go with the Seattle Seahawks 31-16. They get a win and stay right up there near the top of the NFC conference. They're right there with the Rams, the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears right there at the top, number 1 seed at 9-3. So Seattle, they just got to keep winning. They got that matchup against the Rams in 2 weeks coming right up. So that's what it most likely comes down to. They've got a game against the Colts, but outside of that, then they've got the 49ers, the last game of the season. So 3 very tough games the next 2 weeks for Seattle. Not quite so much. This is where the schedule gives them a bit soft sort of breather for them in this game, and they finish off with a couple of tough games. They got the Colts, Rams at home, that Thursday night game, and then the Panthers, which now looks like a much tougher game, and then at the San Francisco 49ers. So realistically, they're going to win 3, 12-5. The question of the day is, can they finish 13-4? If they get to 13-4, they just might be that 1 seed in the NFC and win the NFC West. And that is crucial to your chances of getting the champ game, getting to the Super Bowl, getting the 1 seed, or especially, winning your division. It's crucial, especially this year where there's so many good teams in the conference. the Lions, who are even outside the playoff picture. The Packers look good. The Eagles, nobody still would be excited to play the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. So this is a game they have to win, and I've got confidence that they do. So I appreciate you so much for watching this. Subscribe to more Blitz with Blender content. I'm Josh Blender, making NFL and college content weekly. Speaking of college, I mean, we've got the Big Ten champ game, Buckeyes, Indiana, 1 versus 2 matchup for that title and the 1 seed in the playoff, Georgia versus Alabama. We talked about that game for Atlanta Falcon fans that love SEC football out there. Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be utilized for that game. I believe that the stadium will have enough, capabilities to be able to immediately switch it from SEC title to then Atlanta Falcons immediately right after. So you've got 2 games back to back. I hope that the field is decent enough condition for that obstacle, right? SEC title game, Mercedes-Benz Saturday afternoon. Immediately quick. What is that? It's like a 20-hour turnaround to get the field ready for the Falcons and Seahawks game. But all of that college football will have the playoff seedings out on Sunday, and then the NFL just keeps getting bigger and bigger towards their playoffs of their own, which will start in January. So I appreciate you so much. Tune into more content in the future, and I will see all of you guys next time. Thank you so much. Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blender. To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.